Pleasant, man, reminding people that we're back-to-back World War champs.
There you go. See, now I'm not the bad one.
Oh, goodness. All right.
Man,
so,
it is getting late.
No, Rel is getting it done, though. 5, 4, 3, 2, one more mix-up. He says, oh, he got the low win. He got the low win. It's over. He got the low win.
Good job. Good job, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to talk to you again. Right?
People expect to do tournaments in the fighting game community, so you kind of just have to be able to organize tournaments, because if you try to just do casual play all day, which I would like to, but I can't, if you do that, people aren't really going to come. So tournaments are kind of the bread and butter, and then you just kind of hope that people eventually start coming for casual play on their own.
Yeah, neither of them tried using that reversal option, but we got caught pressing something.
It might have been looking for another one, as the cooldown wasn't back just yet, as June's pushing the issue, wasn't ready for the DP there, but that's a good DP to take at that point, because finding a hit like that could have been the round, should have been the round, but with the anti-air, it is.
Yeah.
Until Street Fighter 4, somewhere around Street Fighter 4, fighting games were a very underground thing, if you will. Underground in the sense where it could be happening in your own town. But if you didn't know who to ask, if you didn't know where to look for, you'd have no idea where to find it, because information in that time was hard to come by. But if you look at how things are today with YouTube, like we keep talking about YouTube, but like social media in general, just people actively trying to promote and bring in more people, as opposed to just trying to build a foundation and get started. It's a lot easier to find events now. Like some say it's way too easy to find events now.
What is it like to be a tournament organizer? Well, it's a combination of both like rewarding and stressful. Because you have the times where it's really rewarding because you get to create a space that allows people to come in and like be able to just chill and play with other people that like the same game that they do. So it's a really good like community building. It's good from a community building perspective, where people can just come chill out, just have a good time, be able to, talk to people that have common interests as them. But it's also stressful on the organizational end, where it's just like, okay, how many people are going to show up? Are people going to show up? Are we going to have enough room, enough setups? Are people going to like the tournament? Are they going to, how long are the matches going to take? Is it going to finish on time? Is everybody gonna like enjoy themselves? That type of stuff. So like it's a combination of both, I feel. But at the end of the day, it's definitely a bit more rewarding than it is stressful at all said and done. So
now, if you ask most people, if you ask most Georgia fighting game community members, like what is the more strongest, the tightest knit, the most uplifting and structured community that Georgia's ever had for a game, most people will tell you Tekken, because Tekken is the game that Atlanta and Georgia is internationally known for. Like, Atlanta is literally considered by many people across the globe as the Mecca of Tekken. They want to come to the Tekken house. They want to come play the various big names that they see at events. Anakin being the most notable one, Poke Chop being one. Speed Kicks, when he was around, Speed Kicks doesn't live in Georgia anymore. But another thing to consider about Atlanta is there are many known players that either trained in Atlanta or are from Atlanta, right? But I said most people would say Tekken. And Tekken is a very accurate and a very strong choice to make. But I personally think that one of the strongest, if not the strongest community that existed in Georgia was actually the MK9 and the MK10 scene, the NRS community. The camaraderie of that crew, at the time, it was unparalleled. It was completely unparalleled. 30 or 40 people who were willing to go to any event, willing to try to get as many people as they could just to play Mortal Kombat and Injustice. You have everybody who's like willing to sit down and teach anybody who thought they were good, anybody who thought they had no idea, no business playing games, willing to show them the ropes, show them like the do's and the don'ts. And if they couldn't figure out how to do anything, or if they didn't have the information somebody was looking for, they knew the right person to ask. And that right person was ready to answer the call every time.
I used to be really into shooters, like Counter-Strike and Halo and like Modern Warfare when I was in like middle school or early high school, whatever. And then I was a League of Legends player for a while, right? And I did WoW arenas at the same time. And I got really sick of blaming my losses on other people. Like we would do a 3v3 arena or whatever, and I would be DPS, and the healer wouldn't. Nobody was as good as me, right? I had the same problem in tennis. Like I didn't like doubles because I didn't like blaming everything on the other guy. So I was like, what kind of sport or esport can I do that's not team related? I can't just blame everything, especially during League of Legends. Before Q Finder or whatever, you just had to like claim your lane, and then if you didn't get it, you like spend an hour in a queue, and you lose like 100 points, and then like you're done for the day as a student, and it kind of sucked. And I forgot who it was. Some dude at my school had like Street Fighter 4 or something, and this was back in like 2010 or 10 or 11. Street Fighter 4 was super big at the time, and my friend was playing it, and like I don't know, it was super fun. I just button mashed or whatever on my controller, and I guess that's how I got into it. Like Street Fighter 4 was my first fighting game that I saw and played and like looked things up about. And I kind of just got the bug because like it feels very satisfying to practice like one specific thing for a long period of time over and over, and then like have it come to fruition. And you did it. Like it's not your teammate's success, it's just your success. And it's just your losses too. And that was the big thing. It's like if you lose in Tekken, like you're the only one to blame. You lose in Street Fighter, like it's because you suck, not your teammate or whatever. And it taught me a lot of valuable life lessons, I guess. And that's kind of how I got into fighting games. But yeah, in general, I used to play a lot of other stuff as well, but right now Tekken's the thing. So play Tekken.
I got into starting tournaments back in like 2015, I think it was. One of my friends, Mike, I told him that I wanted to start tournaments, and he was just like, hey, you should just go start looking for venues and start talking to people. I'm just like, I don't know if I can do that. He was like, fine, if you're not gonna do it, I'll just do it myself. So he like went off and like found a venue for us, and he called me. He was like, yeah, by the way, we're starting a tournament next week. I'm like, oh, okay, sounds good. And then we started running tournaments there for a couple months. And then he had to move sometime after that, so we only ran it for a couple months there, but after that, I think it was like the next year, I was just like, you know what, we haven't run a tournament or tried to run a tournament in a while, so I'm gonna try and do it myself. And ever since then, in like 2016, we've been running tournaments obviously before last year, but no, we were running tournaments almost every week for like 3-4 years at that point.
So Georgia has the benefit of having this nice big city named Atlanta. And even though a notable portion of the Georgia fighting game community does not live in Atlanta, a huge portion of it does. The real thing to realize is Atlanta helps so much because it is a very large, it's a very, I don't want to sound far off and say like technologically advanced city, but when you look at Atlanta compared to like everything else in the region, it's very industrialized, which is why Atlanta really sticks out like a sore thumb in the Deep South. Atlanta feels like it really should be somewhere in the Northeast for the most part. And why that's important is because since it's such a big hub, you have a lot, since it's a new hub, you have a lot of companies and corporations trying to build up in Atlanta because they're not trying to build in Dallas. They're not trying to build in New York. They're not trying to build in Los Angeles. So how does that help the fighting game community? You have more people coming in. And you might have some people coming in specifically to make events for competitive gaming, such as Smite building their headquarters in Atlanta, which is why Smite Worlds happened in Atlanta. Brawlhalla, which was created in Atlanta, if I remember correctly. You have like companies like that starting up and building up here, and then you just have the people who are trying to just move here and make a living, and they just conveniently play fighting games. And oh, lo and behold, there's a lot of us here. So strength in numbers.
Oh, well.
No. Okay.
It hit both, but because of who got hit by what, that was really funky to try to field down. Now this was going to be a little bit easier, and it's Absolute Ego was off the hook, panicked in a bit of a scramble, threw up the counter. That gave HBK Man enough time to assess the situation, get the punish from Zero, got it down. 2 more meters, don't even need it.
Yeah.
You're in trouble now.
I'd say the hardest part about tournament organizing is, I would say probably either getting people to read information that's presented to them, or probably just like trying to grow the tournament itself is a bit hard. In relation to like information, there are a lot of times where there's just like a lot of people just like don't read or pay attention to like information that's right there in front of them. You could like write like paragraphs upon paragraphs of like tournament rules and everything else that's like that they need to know for the tournament and stuff like that, and they'll just be like, hey, I don't see this anywhere. What do we do about this, that, and the other? I'm just like, it can be annoying at times because it's just like, hey man, the information's right there for you, but it's just like they just refuse to read or something like that, which can be a little bit annoying, but at the end of the day, it's good interaction just to be able to interact with the person directly. But as far as like growing the tournament, I feel like is pretty hard too, just because there are a lot of factors that go into like growing tournaments and like growing the amount of people that you have there. A bunch of it is by word of mouth, and it's people having a good experience at your tournament to be willing to tell other people about it. So I feel like that's a little nerve-wracking there, but it's like, shoot, did they enjoy themselves? Did they hate it? Did they just think it was okay, just like another tournament? What are we offering that to people that is like worth it to them for, you know, being able to come out again next time, or like to invite someone else out there? Like, is this worth it to them? I think is one of the scarier things when running a tournament, for sure.
What got you into playing fighting games?
My dad next to me, see, like, he will play games, bring them home. It'll be Mortal Kombat. Then he hates Street Fighter. Mortal Kombat, Tekken, and you know, basically that's how I got into fighting games, and I'll play like, you know, all the time.
Because when he was a kid, right, he was a little baby, right? I used to give him the controller that wasn't hooked up, and he thought he was playing.
Yeah.
But he got hooked.
Mm-hmm.
I had to.
So yeah, basically, I didn't start taking seriously until Negan was in Tekken 7. So, yep.
Oh, it's like playing a tournament? It's awesome and horrible at the same time. It's like every spectrum of human emotion, you know, grief when you lose and excitement when you win, and like everyone here is super passionate about it, and you are as well. And like there's that common thread that like ties us all together because we all play this game. Like that's our thing. It's like, you know, people that rock climb, it's like that's their thing. And when they go rock climbing, everyone that rock climbs, they share that thread, and it's like a mutual experience type of thing. So playing a tournament, it's just, like I said, the full spectrum of emotion. And like some days you go 0-2. Like I went 0-2 a couple weeks ago. I've been playing this game for 4 or 5 years now, whatever. And I don't know. There are weeks where you feel like you want to like give up and stop playing the game because you had a bad night, or like you lost to a really good player, or you lost to a player who you should have beaten, which happens to me all the time. Like staying consistent in this game is very difficult. It's like what separates the really good players from the intermediate players. If you can come, especially in Atlanta, if you can come to 404 and go 3-2 every single week, like that says something about you as a player. And so coming to tournaments every week, it allows you to establish that like within yourself, the discipline it takes to just practice the game all the time and just keep learning and learning. And it's really just a learning experience. But outside of like just tournaments, I mean, there's a whole, the community aspect of this is another thing I could talk about forever. But that's what it's like to play in a tournament. And I hope anyone that watches this, like if you want to come experience what a tournament's like, or like you're brand new but you're interested in fighting games, there's so many like helpful and kind and friendly people here that you would be doing yourself a disservice to not come to 404, come to Gwinnett Brawl or any other place that has fighting games, even online now, right? You can kind of get a similar experience with Discord, and like you just meet so many new people and you kind of just become like lifelong friends, at least for the duration of you coming here, or however long you play the game.
I mainly did it because I want to see how far I can go. Like I watch people like Lil Majin and stuff like that.
Majin Squad.
Yeah, I want to see if I can get up to that level. I don't want to, I don't care about winning any prizes or anything. I just want to be on that stage and just like see how, just hear the people like yell and roar and stuff. Like it's so like amazing how like video games take you serious.
So they know how to convert generally, which again increases their danger.
Blue, a little too eager to move out of the wheel, but Blue coming over the top a little bit later gets the counter hit JC. Tick throw. Even in the roundup, there's a check. Woo! And we're out of the corner. Back in the corner. A little bit of a scramble. See, this is what you were talking about. Like, June just patiently waiting, assessing the different times of attack that Blue wants to try to use. Everything whiffing and June just picking Blue's offense apart.
For commentary, it's for somebody like me, for example, somebody who goes to locals, goes to majors, is more like what I consider a low-level commentator at majors. Like I'll do pools and stuff whenever I'm allowed to fit in, but like I'm not a main stage top 8 commentator anymore. It's changed the scope of what I have to look at, because for the past year, since about last March, the main game I've commentated is Blaz Blue Cross Tag Battle. I've commentated Blaz Blue Cross Tag Battle, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. All right, they're not like the most efficient games to play online, but if COVID were not to have happened, I don't imagine that I would have seen those games as much as I have. I would have seen them, but a lot of my workforce would have still, or a lot of my workload would have still been Street Fighter, because I'm one of the main Street Fighter commentators in the state. A decent amount of Tekken, because even though I'm not one of the main commentators for Tekken, I'm asked to fill in quite often for that. Soul Calibur, a game that I haven't even mentioned yet, but I haven't seen that game since April, I believe. Like, there's been a pretty big shift in what you typically see. That's not to say these games that struggle to function on the internet don't get played. In fact, a lot of people have been making them work, but what happens is they condense it down to a region to try to control the variables that can happen from playing long distances. So if you don't happen to be in one of those regions, or you're not affiliated with somebody who's running the event, it's very likely that you don't come across the games.
I mean, I hope that all the local scenes, get back to being open pretty soon. I mean, we were kind of like I guess the word slipped my mind, but we're like the first ones to bring locals back. I think we probably were, and then we opened up. Obviously there was some backlash about it, but people are gonna have something to say no matter what you do. And then some locals in Korea opened up shortly after we did too. And so it's overall I would like to see locals come back, but You probably won't for a while, just because a lot of TOs. This is kind of different. This is a business. A lot of TOs just like they'll rent a they'll go to a card shop or a comic store or something, and they might charge the TO like $1 per person that comes in. This is different, whereas this is an actual like a modern day arcade. So it's not like I have a 9 to 5 and then I do this as a hobby. Like, this is my actual job. So that's why, we kind of voted for the community, and everybody's like, yeah, let's open back up, try to keep it open, try to keep it going. But I would like all the different scenes to be able to come back though, ultimately. And for 4 of War, I just want the community up here to grow and thrive eventually. So, this is the, not too far into year 3. But yeah, hopefully, within 5 years, like, this place is really, booming every night and packed and stuff. So that's pretty much what I just want, man. Make players have a good time, feel like they're getting their money's worth when they come here. That's all that matters. So that's pretty much it.
Well, I know for a fact we're really just waiting for offline to come back at this point, but we're definitely trying to make the most of it with trying to grow our brand right now through like online events and streaming and stuff like that. At the same time, though, the future of the FGC is definitely going to be in a weird position when we go back to offline stuff, because it's just going to be either people are going to be excited that offline is back and have even more of a drive than before to be able to push for offline events and stuff like that, or you'll have a group of people that will be very complacent with the online environment and be like, I don't know if I really want to go travel to this offline event and pay like $200 for this, $100 a night for a hotel, and this, that, and the other, and all this money for food, when I can just sit here and, play this game versus people online or enter online tournaments, Especially if the online comes to a point where it's super stable for like a bunch of different titles and games and stuff like that, it could really push towards a direction where it's it's a scary future where people might not even want to go to offline tournaments because it's so easily accessible right in front of them. So I think Dogi touched on that a bit too when I talked to him in the past. He just doesn't know the future of fighting games either. Whether it really just depends on what the players want. If the players want that offline community competitive one-on-one aspect where you actually get to like interact with people in person and be able to like just like commune with people with like interest, that's going to be the biggest thing moving forward, I think, to see if people still have that drive to be able to just hang out with each other and compete.